In my previous video, I already discussed how to configure UDR's newest teleport VPN. What's the different ways to use it in your systems? In this video, I won't discuss the details about configuration again. I will directly talk about the performance testing. Let's start from the most common usage for home users, which is you have a UDR as the main router in your home network, and then you have a cell phone. You are outside, you are away from your home. Now you want to connect to VPN. Let's see how it works. Throughout this video, I'm going to use the same type of screen layout. In the upper right, you see the Linux virtual machine. I'm going to run the iPerf3 server. Let me run it now. And in the bottom right, I'm going to SSH to UDR. Let's monitor the system resource consumptions in the SSH session. Run top. Several things to notice. The ID here means idle. That's the important number we will take a look at during the testing. SI here means software interruption. That's how the system used to deal with the network traffic. And of course, in the lower left side, I'm going to show you the cell phone screen recording. On my cell phone, I already disabled Wi-Fi. Now let me click the on button on the Wi-Fi Man app. Try to connect to Teleport VPN. It may take less than 10 seconds normally. As you may see, my wireless connection is pretty weak. It's just 2 bars, so I don't expect very good performance. Okay, so finally it's connected. Now let me run iPerf3. Let me use the Linux virtual machine's IP address. Try download first, default file streams, and 10 seconds. Let me start. Okay. From the Linux virtual machine, you can see it's connected, and the performance is pretty miserable. It's not due to the UDR, it's because of my bad wireless connection, right? Let me run it for a longer time. Let me check the top session. Run again. You can see the idle is pretty much more than 50%. Slight traffic, as you can see in the SI part. You can see the process is called Teleport D. It is active. It's using about 6% CPU resource. Apparently, the bottleneck is not the UDR. It's my cell phone wireless connection. For this type of connection, we only validate it works, but I cannot saturate the UDR capacity for sure. Let me move on to the next testing environment. In order to get better connection, I use this type of environment. I have my home network, put the UDR behind my main router, which is pfSense. Thanks to the zero configuration and the way Teleport works, I can still connect to UDR from outside of my home, directly connect to UDR. The Teleport VPN can still be established. I use pfSense as my main router and firewall for the home network. To test the UDR's teleport performance, I need to find better Wi-Fi connection and better wireless connection, right? It may take time. I don't want to use the UDR as the main router for a long time, so I want to keep using pfSense. I drove to a nearby grocery store where I got much better 4G LTE wireless speed. I also got free Wi-Fi. By using this environment, I can achieve full testing. For the test number 1, it doesn't matter whether you put the UDR as your main router or behind your main router. The speed is pretty much the same in my case because I have very bad wireless connection, right? So I won't repeat the test number 1 because it will have the same result as you just saw. So let me start it with test number 2. I connect to my cell phone's 4G wireless network. After that, I will try the free Wi-Fi. And as you may know, normally the public free Wi-Fi doesn't have very good performance. For the number 4 testing, it might be a very useful scenario because I don't want to replace my main router with UDR. but UDR's teleport VPN is really easy to use. So sometimes to establish a quick VPN connection, I can simply put the UDR behind my main router. Theoretically, this NAS is in the WAN network for the UDR. From the eyes of UDR, the NAS is in the internet part. I should be able to connect to the NAS box after I connect to the UDR using teleport. This Linux virtual machine is in the LAN part, and this NAS is in the WAN part. Okay, so let me start with the test number 2. As you can see now, I have very good wireless connection. Ignore the 5G thing. It's just AT&T's way to say 4G. So it's 4G wireless. I'm trying to connect to the teleport VPN. Okay, connected. See the IP address for UDR. It's showing my private local network's IP address. Start the iPerf3 client, testing download. As you can see, this time the performance much better. It's about 20 megabits. In test number 1, I only got about 2 megabits. This time is much better. I only ran it for 10 seconds. We didn't have time to check SSH. This time let me run it for 30 seconds. For upload, in the SSH window, you can see idle is 50%, so it's really using some time, and the teleport D is consuming 20% of CPU because this time we have much faster connection. So everything is expected. As you may notice, now the 5G signal is reduced to 3 bars. So it's not perfect connection, but good enough. This time, let's test the slow public free Wi-Fi. As you can see, even though the Wi-Fi signal is very strong, but I don't expect very good performance. Okay, connected. Start download testing. The performance is so bad, less than 2 megabits. In the top part, as you can see, the teleport D only consume 5% of CPU. It's pretty idle. Of course, I don't blame UDR. For upload, the performance is even worse, less than 1 megabits. This testing doesn't mean anything to the UDR performance. It just means if you use free public Wi-Fi, don't expect good performance if you connect to teleport. As the last test of this type of connection, let me try to see whether I can connect to the NAS, which is in the home network, not in the LAN of the UDR. As you can see, now I have very bad wireless connection, but the iPerf3 testing is going on even though it's slow, which means yes, I'm able to access NAS in this testing. So in this test environment, we did 4 different tests, but for all of them, I had no way to saturate the capacity of the UDR due to the limitation of my connections. It doesn't matter whether it's cell phone 4G connection or free Wi-Fi. I had to use the third environment. So this way is just for me to try to test the performance. I don't really see real world usage. I put my UDR behind my main router. From my home, I connect my mobile devices to my home Wi-Fi because my home Wi-Fi can have pretty good throughput and it is kind of in the internet or WAN side for the UDR. I can still establish the teleport VPN connection. I'm going to try 3 different tests. Let me try just one client using my iPhone. You may notice now I'm connecting using Wi-Fi, not the 4G wireless, so the Wi-Fi signal is pretty good. Let me click the on button in the Wi-Fi Man app for teleport. Try to connect to UDR. Okay, connected. In the Linux side, let's look at the left side terminal. I already run the iPerf3 server. Now let me launch the iPerf3 app on my iPhone and start testing the download. Let's see what's the performance in this case. Okay, it's connected, and in the Linux session, you can see the performance pretty good. It's about 120 megabits. For the idle part, yeah, it's a little bit busy now. Only 30% of the CPU is idle. And in the software interruption part, you can see it's a little bit busy as well. There's one thing I want to point out. You may remember in my previous testing environment, when I connect using real 4G wireless connection, when I do the IPERV3 testing, in the SSH, you see a teleport D process, right? It uses very high CPU resource, but now you don't see it. It seems teleport D will only be active when you really connect from internet. So in this case, I'm not really connecting from internet. The system just never bother use teleport D. It's kind of make me paranoid. It make me think maybe my testing in this type of environment doesn't really mean anything. It's not really using teleport D functionalities. But on the other hand, let me show you what I see in the network controller. See, this is the client information for network controller. You can see I have two clients connected. This one, the very last one, is the iPhone which I am using now, right? It is showing as teleport connection. But strangely, in the backend, teleport D is not really busy at all. If you know the answer, let me know in comments area. Okay, let me go back. Apparently, this way, I still cannot saturate the capacity of the UDR, and it seems for one single teleport connection, the maximum speed is somehow capped. My Wi-Fi speed is faster than 120 megabits, right? Even though the system is not busy anymore, I cannot achieve better performance. Let me try to add one more connection. Let me use an iPad. Okay, now I connected to Teleport VPN using both iPhone and iPad. So from iPhone, I'm going to connect to the left side Linux IPERV3 server, which has port 5201. And from iPad, connecting to the other one, which has port 5202, so that I can do the IPERV testing at the same time from two different devices. Start them now. From the Linux, you can see both are connected, and I would say the total speed maybe 160, a little bit faster than one single iPhone connection we just did, but not super good, not doubling the one connection speed. Let's give it some time. Let's see whether we can get better result. From the SSH part, you can see the idle is about 30%, 20%. Software interruption is a little bit busy, and I still don't see teleport D process. To get the overall speed, let me go to the Linux activity monitor. So let's see what's the total network throughput now. So for sending, remember from the clients we are downloading. So of course from the server side, from Linux, it's sending. Total speed is lower than 24 megabytes. Fluctuating, but not very much. Let me add the third client, which is an Android tablet. Okay, it says connected, and then after 2 or 3 seconds, it just exists by itself. Let me summarize the 3 different testing we just did. For test number 5, just one client. The speed was pretty good, about 120 megabits. I do have a question about the teleport D process because I expected to see it, but it's not there. I'm not sure whether it's because I'm not really connecting through internet, whether it will make the performance testing result invalid. If you know the answer, please let me know. For the test number 6, I tried 2 parallel devices and they both work, but the final total speed is not doubled than just single one, even though the system was still pretty idle. Apparently there's some cap for teleport VPN. The bottleneck is not really the UDR hardware. And for the very last testing, it failed because Wi-Fi Man app has some bug for my Android device. So far we tried 3 different testing environments, and my conclusion is it has good enough speed for normal home user. But if you want to saturate your hardware's capacity, or you want to get the full speed for your Wi-Fi, maybe you will be disappointed. Okay, thanks for watching.